All right, let's get it started. Let's get time to your top three at 3.
Yes, indeed. Hey, DMV, we're talking about everything from a protest that closed part of the GW Parkway to hundreds of Montgomery County government jobs that are just sitting vacant.
Yeah, but right now, let's kick it off with the big story of the day. We're heading over to D.C., where juvenile crime continues to take center stage there. Obviously, we've seen a big rash of teens involved in crime. We've been talking about it for months now. We talked about it again yesterday. 3 teenagers charged for violently robbing at least 10 people in the span of 5 hours. D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab hosting a listening session last night. Afterwards, he told Fox 5 he doesn't think kids and teens should be charged as adults.
I don't think kids should be treated as adults. Kids are kids, and when you're talking about teenagers in particular, their brains are developing, their minds are developing, and they're biologically prone to make mistakes. That's what we've all done as we've grown up.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I can't remember committing a crime when I was that age. But hey, that is your Attorney General. And of course, as you can imagine, that response getting a lot of pushback. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser spoke exclusively with our Stephanie Ramirez about it all. She is live with us tonight. How does the mayor's response compare to the Attorney General's?
Well, Marina, that was one of the first questions we got to ask the mayor today was or does she agree with the Attorney General's comments? And also, did she get to talk with him about this before he took office? So she didn't exactly answer the second question, but here's some of what she told us immediately.
Well, you know, I believe in a system of consequences, and I know that children learn if there are no consequences for bad behavior, that can really stunt them for the rest of their lives.
And she talks about wanting consequences on both the adult and juvenile sides. But the thing is, there are a lot of people in D.C. who do not feel that teens are facing consequences in the juvenile system. Case in point, 15-year-old Andre Robertson Jr., who was killed in Northeast D.C. outside of a great-great-grandmother's home. When it came down to sentencing, his mother, his family, they told us on camera that they believe that the teen sentence should have faced life in prison as an adult instead of what he faced as a juvenile, which is commitment until the age of 21. And so this teen was 15 years old, the suspect. That means that he's only held for about 6 years. We were also asking the mayor questions like whether she feels that is a consequence. Marina?
Yeah, when you look at the crime statistics in D.C., at least currently, unfortunately, we are seeing this spate of juvenile crime that continues to go up. And there's nothing that is being done to abate it, to lower it again. And obviously, that is a question. Now, you have an attorney general and an executive, the mayor, who don't seem to agree on how to address this problem. And sure, I think we can all agree that teenagers make mistakes without question. But there's a very big difference between making a mistake and taking somebody else's life.
True indeed.
And I think that is where the big question arises. How can we get to a system where you can still rehabilitate someone, but at the same time, send a message that we will not allow this? And that is where the district can't find middle ground, Steph. So what is the mayor saying she's going to do next? Because it seems like the Attorney General, who is just new in this position, he is digging his heels and saying he believes that they shouldn't be charged as adults. So once you turn 21, you're out of the system. You're back out on the streets, even if you commit a high-level felony. Is the mayor willing to push back on that?
So one of the things she pointed out was that it looks like the current AG is following what the previous Attorney General is doing, whom we know she did not always agree with. They butted heads a lot, especially when we talked about juvenile crime. Now, the big issue as well, Marina and Joe, is that when it comes to data, looking at what's going on in the district with juvenile crime, there's no one database that tracks what happens from arrest then on through the system or if they're let out by some other means. And so that is something that the Attorney General's office is supposed to be working on. I know, though, with juvenile privacy laws, there's some complications, so they're trying to work around that. When it comes to stats, though, on juvenile crime, we know carjackings. That is a violent offense. And since D.C. police came out with their carjacking database, juveniles have overwhelmingly, majority of the rest are juveniles, 17 and under, a violent offense. Again, when you talk about all crimes in the district and juveniles arrested, going through D.C. police stats, it looks like they had about 200 more juveniles arrested in all of 2022 compared to the previous year. So we are seeing an issue here. I will tell you the mayor did make some comments on what she can do about it, but I'm going to say that for 4 o'clock, so you got to tune in.
All right, we'll be watching, that's for sure. And as always, we always invite the Attorney General, Brian Schwab, to have a spirited debate about this topic, as well as Mayor Bowser here on the DMV Zone. I think a lot of people, and this doesn't just affect residents of the district. There are people that commute in from Virginia, from Maryland, from across the region. Of course, it's the nation's capital, too. So this is getting the spotlight, as we saw in Congress not that long ago.
True indeed. I have a take on it, but that's a whole nother thing. We'll do it another time.
All right, DMV Zone Instant question of the day. Should juveniles who commit violent crimes face tougher penalties? 98% of you right now say yes, they should. Do not agree with the Attorney General's stance right now, and we should reiterate that it is the Office of the Attorney General in the District of Columbia that prosecutes juvenile crime. Scan that QR code or head to fox5dc.com/insipple. Okay.